Hello, everybody. Welcome to Weekend Wanderlust, which is our Friday edition of KISS.
Keep it simple, sister.
And so this particular edition is where we integrate whatever we talked about on Tuesday. So we give you a little background of what we talked about, and then we share with you a concept, just a little thing to try over the weekend to see how it feels. Just little bits of change in your life in order to bring about major changes as the year goes on. So this time we are talking about render and active.
Yes.
Is a
And
concept. Actually, I didn't know this concept, I think, until you brought it up.
right. And I got it from Esther Hicks, the Abraham Hicks channeling. That was an idea that was brought up there, but it's a fantastic idea. It's so helpful.
Yeah. And when you find a good one, like that's
Right.
the one that sticks. That's the one that you make a habit. And so all of these things that, that we share out to everyone are things that are like practices, tools, whatever that we have found make a difference. They've had an
And
impact.
we tried it. We liked it. We want to share it with you because hopefully you'll like it too.
That means it's test driven.
Yes.
Yes. Ooh,
Yes.
okay.
Beta tested by Diana and Samantha.
So done deal. All right. So render and active. That's all about stopping the momentum of I always like saying a contrasting feeling, but let's just say a negative emotion.
Something you're
Or
worried about.
yeah, it's a thought, an action, whatever, and you need to release it from the energy of your thinking, from your being. Like it's a multidimensional approach, very simple, but it's the act of releasing from the outcome and the it's hard to say the care of it, and we did mention about the whole thing about like I have no fucks to give kind of thing. um and and it's not that you are being lazy, that you don't care, that you're copying out or whatever. It's that you recognize that your emotional wellness, your emotional state of being is far more important than placing your attention on a false what fear is, false evidence appearing real. It's you putting out there this false projection of a future that doesn't even exist. So we're trying to cut off the head of the snake with that one.
Well, and worry, anxiety, we really need to help with ways to nip it in the bud.
Yep,
That's what my dad was
exactly.
saying. Nip it in the bud. So the idea that I got from Esther Hicks.
Do you
Go
want to
ahead.
mention first, just briefly talk about what we mentioned on Tuesday?
Okay.
The two concepts that we thought were really good that we suggested.
Yes, we talked about box breathing, which is breathing in for the count of three, holding it for the count of three, and then breathing out for the count of three. And also having a pillow and going into the bathroom at work and screaming the word fuck. But you can also breathe out. Fuck.
Well,
Um,
and it
this
helps to
whole
do,
topic lends itself to the F word big time.
yeah. And I realized as I was doing that in the Tuesday podcast, and you were just doing it now, the reason why that word works so well. I mean, you could go yuck, yeah. It's that
Mhm.
the you're putting a resistance, and it's also it's like, I mean, you could just sit there and go, but it is that resistance. There's something there that makes it um more powerful, that it
Right.
just, so that's why you want to use that, and you just scream it into a pillow till you can't do it anymore.
And it's kind of taking back your power because when you're anxious and you're worried, you have
Mhm.
no control over your thoughts and your feelings, really. And we know that your subconscious is in control of a lot of what's going on. So consciously, you're worried, but subconsciously, you may be really, really worried because that's what you're projecting. That's the feeling, and that's the idea that all of you is focusing on. So if we can render it inactive, or um, somehow not be worried about the thing that is most worrisome, which is a difficult thing to do. Because if you're worried about it, it's important to you.
Yeah.
It's something primary in your mind. It's something that, you're afraid of. So if you can do, and I was going to say, we did a box for, and I'm finally back at my house so I can show you guys my gratitude box. So it says laugh loudly, speak kindly. It's got all kinds of live simply, be
This is
patient.
from 2 weeks before.
Yes, a couple weeks ago we were talking about putting things in the box, and that's kind of like another one of my mantras. So if there's something you want to have happen and you want to manifest it, it's a manifestation box. So you write it on a card, and this one says Paris with Samantha, and I put it in my manifestation box.
Mhm.
And then on the top of my manifestation box, it says whatever is in this box is. So anything in here, done. Don't have to worry about it. My subconscious is working on that. Same thing here.
This
Anything
is the
in this
part
box.
2. This is the part 2 to that.
Yes. Well, and
Manifest.
I've been doing the manifestation box for a long time. And then I just picked up the render inactive, and it's even more powerful for me than the manifestation is, I think. Because I'm a worrier. We're moms, it's easy to worry. So anyway, this is just a tissue box, an empty tissue box that I put pieces of paper on. Now you could get a fancy pretty box like this, or some of the ones that I showed a couple weeks ago. But this one I just put paper on, and I want to render inactive on this side. And on this side, I want to render inactive. I have no fucks to give. That came from Samantha, and I had already written this, so that's why it's small. But on hers, it's really big, and I like it. So I would
But
suggest that
I
you do
started
that.
off with the proper.
Yes. And then on the other side, I still have one blank. I haven't decided what to put here, but I have you can be or do or have everything, anything you want.
I like that.
So
Positive uptick.
yes. So it's not a whole negative box. By rendering these things inactive, I can be or do or have anything I want, because I can focus on the things that I want. Does that make sense?
I've got to
Do a little
add
change.
that.
Yeah, I don't know where I got it, but whatever. So I have pain in my elbow. I was walking my dogs, and flew up in the air and broke all kinds of stuff. So there's a big thing, there's a big scar here. So that's one of the things that was really bothering me for a while. So, and I put it on a tiny little piece of paper. I don't know why it's so small, but I put pain in my elbow, and I'm rendering it inactive, because it's not a part of my reality anymore when I stick it in that box.
Mhm.
And Samantha also mentioned, I'm not sure which podcast we were talking about, or, oh, I know what it was. It was Out on a Limb. You said something about my friend Diana says I'm not available for.
Yes.
So other things that I don't want to have happen, I say I'm not available for it. So it's everything's always working out for me, and I'm not available for it. Those are my two biggies.
Mhm.
And so we were
And
going on.
hold on, you don't want to go, I'm not available for this, 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 and this not to work out,
No,
because
just the
the
one thing at the
universe,
time.
well, because the universe only hears the positive, like it only
Right.
hears the things that you're mentioning. So
Okay.
you want to say it and release it. Like, I'm not, I think it's better to say, I'm not available for this. I'm not available for it to take time or whatever. And
Right.
so that the universe doesn't grab a hold of this is an intention.
Exactly. And so where I use it a lot is like, we were going on a cruise, and the weather forecast was for rain for 3 of the days. And I said, I'm not available for rain.
Mhm.
But and then I let it go. I'm not available for that. It's not going to happen.
And so you didn't sit
But
there
if
and
I
hold
was
on to the worry of it when you released it.
exactly, the
Yeah.
worry's gone. I'm not available for it. Um, There's a lot. No student loan debt for Maggie and Annie, because I was really, really worried about how they were going to pay their student loan debt. I'm not worried about it anymore. I'm rendering it active.
Okay,
Stick
so
it in the box.
and that's for you, for that worry, because it's important to understand that you can't do stuff for other people. As
Right.
much as we would like to, they're their own sovereign beings, and they have come here to perfectly express exactly how they want to be within this lifetime in any given moment. And so the best you can do, that's a whole other podcast, but the best
Yes,
you can do is honor them in that moment. And their choice was to go to school and have student loans so that then they could have the experience of how to deal with the student loans. So you
exactly.
doing that is not for the benefit of them, that's for the benefit of you. I just want to make
Of
sure.
me to not worry, to
Yeah.
render it inactive, so it's not something that's in my view, in my sense of what I'm worrying about right now. So I have a quick story to tell, and then
Okay.
I would love for you to tell some of the things that you put in your rendering inactive box too. So I have a good friend who is a contractor. He does windows and siding and roofs and stuff like that. And he's he has integrity beyond.
Hmm.
He has someone that he replaced a roof 10 years ago, 12 years ago. The roof is leaking. There's a leak in the roof. But it was because somebody put another contractor put something into the roof, like a sunroof, or I don't know what it is.
Oh.
And that affected the roof. So it was really not a warranted issue of the roof,
Hmm.
but he's such a nice guy, and has such great integrity that his customer, would call him and say, "This is what am I going to do about this?" And even though it wasn't his responsibility, he would go out and try and help him, or try and get him to, fix it or whatever.
Hmm.
And so he would get up in the morning worried that this guy was going to be calling about this same roof. It happened over and over again. And like he couldn't let it go. He was always just worried. Now what happens? And I don't even, want to work. I think it was like a multi-million-dollar home. Like it was a big deal. And I explained to him both the manifestation box and the render and active box. And he went home and he did the same thing, and he put it on the card. I want to render an active, any more problems with Ho-Ho's roof, whatever his name is. And he put it in the box.
Hmm.
But what it allowed him to render it inactive in his mind, not to worry about it anymore. He was no longer putting it out into the universe. There wasn't attention to it, and it wasn't his responsibility to begin with. So that helped him release that feeling of responsibility for something that he wasn't even responsible for. So even if there was a problem, he had let it go. So that was okay. So I thought that was really cool. And it affected his life, because he's a husband of one of my best friends. Well, you're all my best friends, but my best friend. And uh it affected both their lives, because he was so worried about it all the time, and he kept focusing on it. So by rendering it inactive,
Yeah.
it freed up some emotional and thought space that he could dedicate to other things. So
Yeah.
I thought that was kind of cool.
And can you imagine if you like it's amazing that a guy did this. Honestly, I'm not male bashing. It's just they don't tend to use tools like this for the
Right.
most part. It takes cajoling, it takes a wife, a partner, a spouse,
Yeah.
a spouse to but can you imagine taking this and getting your kids to utilize it, especially young little kids that they can't express as much and they worry. And,
Right.
maybe it's something they're being bullied or they're concerned about a test or whatever. And they just render inactive over and over again, just releasing because they have how many, random worrisome thoughts a day, which has created what this anxiety ridden,
Yeah.
like Generation Z or whatever that we have now
Yeah.
and millennials. So I just think that would be an amazing thing to see it really take off with kids.
Well,
Um,
and you can write it over, like you said, over and over again. So you have the thought, you put it in, it doesn't really render it inactive because you thought of it again, write it down again, put it
mhm.
in until you can stop doing that. It might take a bunch of times to do it. It might take one time to do it.
Well, I would give a caution of this is that if you keep doing it over and over again,
You're still thinking
one,
about
yeah, you're not really releasing to it is the first thing. And the second is that there's probably something deeper there that needs to be looked at because your higher self is intelligent. It loves you unconditionally. And if you sit there and go, I'm not going to worry about this mole on my arm, I'm rendering it inactive. and you keep saying that about the mole on your arm, it's, your higher self is going to get you to pay attention. It's going to do whatever it can. And so, when things keep coming up, it is a good idea to stop and go, okay, is it that I'm being lazy and not really releasing from this? Or is it that it's almost like some outside thing trying to get me to pay attention to it? Um, and, I was about to go into, there's a couple of other things you can say and do, but I want to keep it short and keep it towards just the
Okay,
rendering
we'll make
active
another
box.
podcast about that. That'll be good.
Exactly.
So what did
Okay.
you
So,
put in your box? Do you have anything? And then we can wrap it up
um,
and roll out because
well,
we're tired
just,
sometimes.
yeah, just like in everything that we do, one of the reasons why I was excited about starting this podcast is that when you're doing things day to day, you tend to forget some of the good things that
Yeah,
you do, the tools that were wonderful until somebody brings them up again.
right.
Um, and so when you join a community like this and you're given these reminders and you have a community that's saying, hey, remember, this was a good thing. Have you been doing this lately? This is wonderful. That is the power of these kinds of communities. And that's what we've created over on Facebook with our KISS podcast group. Is to keep you thinking of all of these things. So for me, by going through and teaching and reminding you all about this stuff, sharing with, it reminds me that I haven't been doing mine lately. I
Yeah, I
well
haven't either.
yeah, and thinking is not the same thing as there there's a component between, and didn't you bring this up in one of the
Yeah.
podcasts
There's
that,
a link between writing and your brain.
yeah, and so there's a release, and even when you're doing automatic writing for channeling, there's something about the act of doing that is just wholly significantly different. So
Mhm.
writing these down and putting them on, what's so fun is just to write it down. Like you can crumple it up and throw that baby in there because
You don't have to look at it
you're
again.
never looking at, yeah, this is
Yeah.
refuse. You could take it once it gets filled up and go outside and light it all on fire, or, whatever you got to do with it to be literally done with it. But I love having it, like you said, you could do the box, but I
Yeah.
really like having it like this, where you can just, because you really want to just pluck it out of your head and pop it in there and be,
Jam it in.
yep,
Yeah.
yep. What is that? And I think that was the coffee cup where it says, um, behold, behold here my field. There are no fucks. I have no fucks to give, or something like that,
Yes, that's the coffee cup you sent me, but I can't find it. But when I do, I'll show everyone.
So that's the idea, is to move into that space. And Diana, actually, in our group, you posted that wonderful video that was talking about, having no fucks to give. That it's so,
Affirmations.
yep, when you move into that space, it is not being careless. It is not being psycho. It's not being, it is honoring yourself and releasing to all the stuff you can't control. Like, give it up, right? I don't want to carry it around. Do you?
Nope.
Nope, not at all.
And
So,
it's a hard place to get to. It's a process, but you can do it. We did it.
yep,
We're
definitely.
just people.
I'm a person, you're a person, we're a person.
I'm a person. You're a person.
So this is your activity for the weekend. If What is it you say? If you so choose, your mission
Oh, it's your mission should you choose to accept it.
is to create one of these.
I want to render inactive or no fucks to give or both.
Like mine is very poetic. That for which I have no fucks to give. I was being
Well,
very grammatically correct.
and we'll put in the description also the you can be or do or have anything or everything you want to. Because I do think that I feel like this is like a trash can. Put the trash in, like you were saying, with refuse, it's whatever, crumple it up.
Yeah.
But also because you can be or do or have anything you want, because you want to get to this place
Yep. I love that.
and stay there and live there.
That's awesome. Okay.
Yeah.
I think that's a wrap for our weekend wanderlust.
Everyone have a great weekend and we will see you next time.
Enjoy.
Bye.
Bye.